Arthur, do you like the police?
Yeah, I love it.
Is that okay? Okay.
Look,
Alice tailoring the music for you.
Listen, I heard both arguments, and it's interesting
What do you
because
think?
as a lawyer,
What do you think,
sometimes
counselor?
you're put in this
Arthur
position.
should have his own show like Judge Judy. Do you know
When
that? Do you know? Am I right or wrong? And I put that forth to everybody listening. Arthur,
Absolutely.
Judge Aidala.
I'm too nice.
Can they call you Judge?
Judy's a little rough sometimes. I'm too
No,
nice.
but you got the Brooklyn
But
edge.
here's the
you
thing,
got the
right?
Brooklyn
When
edge.
you make
You'd
an
be
opening statement in a trial,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
There are many, many lawyers who have their remarks, including the first 2 or 3 sentences, totally prepared, as Matt does when he comes in here with the music list. And there is something to be said for that degree of preparation because you stand up and you know every word that's
Are
coming
you
out of your
charging
mouth.
us per hour with this
Yeah, I
dissertation,
actually
counselor?
am.
Okay.
But then there's another school of
I
thought
object.
because the prosecutor
object.
gives the opening statement first. And I do think, subscribing to the Al Gattulo method, I do think that there is a value to seizing the moments and grasping onto something that the prosecutor says and really just trying to shove it up their butt. Because they said something that maybe I know a piece of evidence that they don't that's going to counteract what they say. So I actually do it on the fly as per Al Gattulo. So, Frank, as much as I don't want to infringe on our friendship or
Go ahead.
side with Mr. Gattulo,
Please.
I will say that
He
his
needs all the
method,
help he can get.
his method of doing it, appropriately in the moment, does have a lot of merit.
This
mean,
is why
I
he's
do
a
see that.
successful.
Would you argue with this guy?
Never.
Marion? What
Never.
are you doing when
And
you
Joe,
argue
you
with your
have
wife?
to
When you
love
argue
dire
with your wife.
straits.
Wait, your wife? I do.
Well, my wife's a litigator as well because it's not
How do you
pretty.
settle anything around the house?
It's very. I just
Do
retreat.
you give yourselves
retreat.
like 15 minutes for a summation?
I retreat.
Before you do it?
No. I
You
just,
retreat?
I just retreat. Yeah, we have like a little garden pond in the backyard. I'm like, I think I have to feed the fish, and I just no because Joe, as you know, as a dad and who's been in some rough relationships.
Have I?
That's what I heard. I listened to the radio. That's what I heard. I never want the
Get ready
kids
to
to
turn.
see us argue.
Yeah, it's good.
I
Good.
mean,
know.
I remember my parents
know.
having some arguments, and they stayed with me to this day.
Yeah.
So whether it was Luca with his mom or baby Arthur, was only 2, I really just try to keep the arguing to when the kids are asleep or outside
bless
or
you for
something
that.
else. It's
God
not,
bless you
it's
for that.
definitely not
I
working.
know.
Dire Straits, Mark Knopfler,
Yeah.
guitar. Your son should be
Legendary.
listening to that
Yep,
guy
yep,
play
yep,
guitar.
yep,
I
yep.
mean, he's in my my Mount Rushmore of music.
Yeah.
Would be
You look good.
Would be Bruce.
Before-
Hold on, Mount Rushmore music.
He's
Bruce.
gonna go for it. I love it.
Bruce.
Yeah.
Mark Knopfler, Dire Straits, because of his guitar work.
All right. Okay.
Definitely Mick, and of course the old man.
Yeah. Those you
are
mean
my
just
four.
in regular? Now your
Those are
mother, I did
Oh,
not.
here we go, my mother.
She
Here
called,
we go.
She
Here
called.
we go.
She called, and she calls and she
booked
leaves
out
a
for
message.
15
Can I
minutes.
apologize to your mother for not getting back? I'm so
Joe,
stressed. I'm
Joe,
so
you're all right.
stressed that. And then I see with Marianne Aidala, I have it right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, listening. Joe's got a gorgeous tie on.
listen
It's a
to
little
this.
pink. He's got.
No.
We're playing this thing now.
Well, I just want to see if.
Yeah,
Oh, hold on. We got to see.
Of course.
Hold on.
We are experiencing
Great.
technical.
No. I got.
No, it
it
doesn't work.
Standby.
He doesn't have the.
Turn on the mic.
Yeah, the mic is on.
You know what I got to hold. I got to put.
You
I'll
have
put
to
the
raise
speaker.
the
Hold
speaker
it.
volume.
No, I don't know what.
Joe, it's Arthur's mother, Marianne. I just wanted to make sure that you got your little novelty for Christmas. I gave it to Al, and somebody took it from Al, and he said, Al will never give it to Joe. And I don't know who it was that took it, and I didn't even know if you got it. Which is a joke gift, but I know you'll get a chuckle, and you'll keep it. Okay?
There you
I
go.
don't
It's in
have
your
to
office.
tell
I never
you,
took
I
it.
love you, and
Aw.
I'm so glad. Never use the word hate. And we only hate the devil, and let's hope it's all good. Bon Natale and Bon Capodanno to your beautiful family, your mother, and you are a source for all human beings of doing the right thing. Okay? We love
Marianne,
you.
I love you too, Marianne. Thank you. Is that great?
Not to toot my own horn, I also received a call from Arthur's mother.
She's in the wedding party. she
That's
told me.
right, and she appreciated my commentary about urinals recently.
Yeah.
So
You know what? That was so nice. Thank you, Marianne. I
You know what
appreciate
she
that.
got you that you never
was-
saw?
I never saw.
She
Where
got
is it?
you a Statue of Liberty wrapped, I think, in the American flag and like with Christmas ornaments on it.
Can we-
I did not. Don't look at
I
me.
think Matt may have grabbed it out of your hand.
I did
Somewhere
not
at my
take
wild
it.
Christmas party.
Yeah, I did not take it because I knew that I would not be able to bring it in. Somebody else took it. I don't know if it was you, Frank, or maybe the dear departed.
You know what? I'm going to put Emily
Darren
on it. 'cause
Yellen?
There's two things I want to
No.
do. I want to find, first of all, Marianne, I love you right back. Thank you so much. You've done so well with this young guy right here, Arthur, your son.
even
and
better
thank
with
you.
his sister.
I'm
Laura.
formerly young.
They-
That's true.
You know, and number two, you walked in looking like Joe Piscopo with the hat, with the long coat. We look like we could be hitmen. Let's take a picture afterwards.
That's
we'll
fine.
do a picture.
I mean, just so the listeners know,
Yeah.
right now in the studio here on 100 Broadway, it's about 112 degrees.
Correct.
I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but it's definitely. I'm wearing kind of a warm suit. I think I'm schwitzing a little bit.
It is warm. It is. It's the lights. It's the television.
So
lights.
Frank,
I've lost
you know,
3 pounds already.
obviously listening to you guys
look
this
good,
morning.
I look fat.
No, you
Thank
don't.
No,
Well, I mean,
no, go ahead.
Arthur.
You can say it.
chunky.
Arthur,
I
what-
mean, you may not go with fat.
We all put on some weight for the holidays.
issues of the day.
Zoftic.
Issues of the day because we're gonna listen. You're welcome to stay as long as you want because we love having you on the show and people love you on the show. So, Kevin Spacey.
What time is Carol Olt coming in? I mean, that's what Frank told me.
Did he say to me?
She said.
Did he say to me, Joe? Oh, he says off the. Can I break confidence
Yeah,
here?
go
He
for
goes, Joe. What was the Brooklyn term you used about? What you're gonna run with that? I think it was you said something like that. You're gonna run with that. Like I
Who wouldn't run with that?
So we go to Tony LoBianco and Elise LoBianco's beautiful Christmas party. Frank, you
Gorgeous.
were invited.
Wonderful time.
And we
You
went
were
to that.
invited.
He
Thank
was
you. I
invited. He was
It
invited.
was all this
So
big
I
thing
go,
and
but
then
I
there's
go
a show.
downstairs with Steve Fisher, my dear friend, with his parents, and I'm talking to the Fishers because I'm nice and they look great and we're having a great time. I turn around, Arthur's walking Carol down the street behind my back. Boom, he's gone. Brooklyn. I said, Brooklyn, where you going? I'll be right back. And then she goes, we go down this deep slanted driveway.
slippery, Joe.
It was
Slippery.
slippery. And he
She
goes,
needed that.
and now I'm afraid
was
because
pouring
I'm
rain.
intimidated by this beautiful gal. I'm afraid to go, hey, Carol, can I help you down because you're going to slip? And I'm afraid she's going to say, I can handle my own. I don't even go there. Mr. Valiant, chivalrous Aidala goes like this. Carol, let me help you a little bit here, babe.
Listen to me. I was
got
actually
this."
contemplating
She wa-
swooping
so
her over feet and
Frankie,
carrying her.
Frankie, I'm walking. I'm behind them, trying not to slip down the driveway. And Arthur, with beautiful Carol Alder, walking down as graceful as ever. But
Hoping I
who
wasn't
Joe was
focusing
playing
and
the
not
harp
falling.
behind the two of you.
who drove her home? Did I do? I mean, did I do? Huh?
Joe, I am spoken for, unlike yourself. I am spoken for. I mean, trust me. If there was a free market, we
You
may
were
have had
so
some
funny.
issues.
And then we're
but-
sitting there. We're sitting there with Judge and that. We're sitting there with Tony and everything.
that
And
was
then
beautiful.
Carol walked away. She turned her. I don't want to say you.
She was a little chilly. I closed the window for her, right? I mean,
Carol, let me close that window for you. babe.
Oh, you have very nice fingernails. You get manicures.
Look at
No,
changing
I
the
don't.
subject now.
Okay. No, Joe,
Changing
listen
the
to
subject.
me. In the heart of hearts, I know Carol through you maybe 10 times
Great
or
gal.
better.
Great gal.
She has an aura, and I told her this. She has an aura that just exudes
Didn't
like
notice.
pleasantness.
Haven't noticed.
And
Yep.
and I would love you to wind up with a person like that. I saw
got
you
no
and her.
shot. I got no
heard
shot.
saw you and her working the room at the.
Yeah,
what
that's
we go to,
don't
the
we do
State
that well?
Homeowners
Don't we do that well?
Association?
Huh?
Arthur, don't forget. This is the same guy when she left the studio a few weeks ago. He offered to walk her home in broad daylight in the safest city
Listen,
in
he's
the
like
world.
a teenager. He's like
As
a
if she
teen-
couldn't make it.
Any
3
excuse.
blocks.
Joe,
I asked 3 times till
I
she said,
applaud you.
till she looked at me and said, "Joe, I got it.
I
Like,
got it.
please
Yeah.
stop bothering me."
Yeah.
Arthur, we got before we let you go. 8:35.
Where am I going? Morano told me to come in here. He told me
Here.
that Burke was going to be here cooking. Alt was
I
going to
missed-
be
yeah.
here walking around. And I'm looking at Gattulo's manicure.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a bait and switch, folks.
Hey,
I
what's
mean-
a blueberry?
Anything.
Hey, I got a good idea. Let's drive round trip to Atlantic City for 15 minutes to watch my man get on his knees. Let's do that one more time.
You should have stayed.
All kidding aside, that was unbelievable.
How long did it take you to get down from
It was
AC?
easy.
No, you're
There
being
was
nice.
no
How long?
traffic.
3
It was-
hours.
No. It
Brooklyn.
took me 2 hours. I don't forget. I go right over the Verrazano Bridge
Yeah,
where I
yeah,
live.
yeah.
No, it took me 2 hours there, 2 hours back. My father thought I was out of my mind.
Did you see the proposal?
I was. I think I
Yeah,
had the
he
best
sent me the
photographs.
pictures.
No doubt
right?
about it. No
I mean,
doubt
I
about
was right over her shoulder. But the best part was, Joe. First of all, I just want to tell you this, Frank. On New Year's Day, I know I'm taking over your show, Joe. I'm
No.
sorry. I am so fired up today. You know why?
Joe would have stopped him.
I'm listening this morning about Trump and the problems there, and everyone complains about de Blasio. And then you look at the cover of the New York Times, and these poor people, where are they? In Manila City Jail. I mean, look at how they live, Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, absolute
good for you.
squalor.
Yeah.
And we just live in the greatest city in the world and the greatest country in the world. So I'm so
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
New Year's Day, I read a book, which I don't do often. It's a very simple book. It's called Life's Little Instruction Book. And it has 515 little things from like always put the toothpaste cap back on the tube to own a convertible once in your life.
Do some heavy
to
reading.
respect your parents, exactly. And one of them was, and Frank
Gates
was front and
Elise wrote
center in
that
my
book. Was it
mind.
Gates Elise
Something
wrote
like that. It said, choose your spouse/life mate carefully because it will be responsible for 90% of your joy or misery.
Go ahead.
And
Why-
at least
why are you
Piscopo
bring-
and I can tell you that is 100%
I've done that
the
twice.
truth.
It didn't work
But
out
I
in
will
either
say
case.
on the air, I do feel very confident.
But you're joyful.
I did give Rachel an integrity test right before the proposal. Had she given me the wrong answers, I would have tackled Frank and been like, dude, we got to talk this through.
Yeah, as a
Caesar,
lawyer,
just go.
Yeah, I would have given you
You
the
know,
thumbs down, but we spoke about, and she confessed her love to me, surrounded by 26 different kinds of cheeses, for Frank Morano.
So romantic.
And she even spoke about maybe making room in the bed for Frank and pushing one of the cats at least out of the bed. So I
What
felt
got her?
The
Was it
fact
the
of the matter
Havarti
is, and
or
then
the
you
Swiss?
gave Frankie. This was my
Oh.
favorite thing. You gave him cash because you knew he was going to be stiffed at the lunch.
There was as sure as I'm bald.
You gave him
There
cash.
was no doubt he
This
was
is
going to be stiff.
And what happened, Frank?
I'm like, this
I'm
guy.
still working on paying off that
I'm
restaurant.
like, this guy is going to get crushed.
It was the best.
I looked how much money I had in my pocket. I kept 20 for myself. I go, just take this. This is a
You got
massive.
toll money on the way home. That was it.
Tulo
All right.
would have
But isn't
never
it embarrassing?
stood
Isn't
for
it
that.
embarrassing?
It is
when you
embarrassing.
go to dinner.
Listen, not that
with
long
the intent
ago.
of not,
Well,
no,
listen
I
to
would
Al.
love to
Listen
know
to
the
Al.
people that you go to the dinner
No.
or to have a drink, not even to reach your hand in the pocket.
No.
To give something.
Again, we got to run, but I
We gotta- we gotta-
Oh,
Yeah,
now we gotta run. No, we got plenty
we
of
do.
time.
Yeah, right.
Put the finger, the twirling
No,
finger. Where's Al's twirling finger now? Get out the twirling finger.
No, the
Never.
problem wasn't so much that people didn't pay. It's that there's a dispute between the restaurant and me as to how many people were having dinner there.
Listen to
That's
me.
the nature.
There's
of it.
also a dispute about people not paying. Trust me.
Right, but if you come and sit at the table, I don't care if you're there for 10 minutes
Can
or
I
an
help?
hour, and
Can
you
I
have
help?
either a
Yep,
drink
you're right.
or
You're
a
right.
piece
You're
of food
right.
or a piece of bread, you leave
All right.
money on the table.
You're right.
That's it.
But how
That's
great
etiquette.
was it for Arthur, being the good friend that he is to all of us, to give cash,
Absolutely.
foreseeing
Oh, he
the
wasn't gonna give
problem?
him his credit card. Forget
So
it.
I shouldn't get credit. It was not hard to foresee the problem. I'm
Nostradamus,
I'm
he's not.
These
But-
guys are
You know-
not giving
you know
Frank
you're
a-
Frankie
we
Five
went
Boroughs.
to brunch before the holidays. Somehow or another, you and I picked up the tab for 12
I
people.
remember that. Yeah,
Oh,
Al
that-
chipped in. Al chipped in.
8:39. Arthur, don't go away. I want to ask you about some issues
We're
of the day,
staying.
believe it or not. And then Mike Gallagher is going to join us as well. But let's jump to Big Al Gattulo. He has the headline news. Real news. Momentarily, we have the great Arthur Aidala, one of the great legal minds in the world. Kevin Spacey, Mr. Aidala, counselor. Here's a guy, and I tell the story, Arthur, so many times when I was a kid. You know, there was a guy, and he was a gay fella, and he came onto me, and he was the drama guy in school. You know, he came on to me. I took care. I did what I had to do. I flipped him. I put him down. Took him out. But I didn't listen. Listen to me. I didn't tell. Listen. You're gonna come at me, and I don't care what
do you
you
mean
are.
he came at you,
No, he
Joe?
came. He like did what not.
Made a pass at him.
You made a pass and you beat him up.
Yeah, well, he came.
That's old
No, he
school,
physically came at me and physically tried to grab me. So I defended myself. I did not tell the principal. I did not tell my parents.
How old were you
I did
about?
not 16. I did not go to make legislation. I did not go to my mother and say, "Please sue this guy." I did not go to the head of the drama department and say, "Oh, I kept my mouth shut. I took care of business." What am I missing here?
Okay, I'll tell you what you're missing. You're not giving yourself enough credit for your strength of character and your upbringing to be able to do that. There are a lot of young men who are much more insecure. The statistics show they're usually young men from broken homes who are targeted by older men to is a sort of like a father figure, and then they take advantage of that relationship. So the reason why there's legislation, the reason why the Me Too stuff has come to the forefront the way it has is, unlike you, and I'll even go a lot further back than you. My grandfather told me a very funny story that when he was a kid, like 10, 11 years old, he was in the movie theater with his brother Al. And, it was a full movie theater back in the day. And in the middle of the movie, his brother leans over to him and he says, "When I say hold, grab my coat." And his coat was sitting on his lap. My grandfather goes, "What do you mean?" He says, "When I say hold, grab my coat." And my grandfather says, all of a sudden he looks over, he says, "Hold." He grabs his brother's coat, and boom, his brother, Al Aidala, punches the guy right in the face. And my grandfather doesn't know what the hell's going on. And basically, the guy next to him was putting his hand on his crotch. In the middle of the movie. And my uncle was a very early teenager, like your age. But those are people who are able to stand up for themselves.
Nowadays, it'd be a lawsuit to the guy, a lawsuit to this theater.
But we're trying to protect not the Joe Piscopos and the Artie and Al Aidalas who have the strength to protect themselves.
Stand up for yourself.
Stand up for yourself.
All right.
Because there are young people who are vulnerable and who are willing to. Joe, I just had a case very recently of, this hits home a little bit. It's a divorced family. The daughter is 14 years old. She's a very, very pretty young girl. And the dad hired a cook to cook for the family, a chef to cook for the family. And you know where this goes.
Boy.
He's in his early 30s, the chef.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, mom comes home. The girl's crying. Her heart is broken. Why? Her boyfriend broke up with her. She was boyfriend. You'd have a boy. Yeah, daddy's chef was my boyfriend. He's 32. She's 14. And they had full-on sexual relations.
Oh!
Full-on.
So who do you representing now?
The girl's family.
Yeah.
And then we went to the DA's office and he got
Frankie and
arrested.
I chivalrous or dinosaurs when we think it's different with girls? I mean, is it okay to say that? Huh?
I really don't think so because not nowadays. Because if that was a 14-year-old boy who was taken advantage of by that same 32-year-old chef, I would be equally pissed off. Maybe even more so.
Yeah.
Because, at least the man and the woman, it's a heterosexual situation.
Yeah,
you don't know if that young boy was a homosexual or a heterosexual. Has this adult influenced this child's sexual choices? It's very complicated. But what's troubling is these cases, Joe, when they're so old, it's so hard to defend yourself.
Yeah.
God forbid, Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, you're such a public figure. If someone jumped out of the woodwork and said, you know what? When Joe Piscopo was on Saturday Night Live and him and Eddie Murphy were doing anything, Joe did this, that, or the other thing to me.
Yeah.
How the hell do you defend yourself?
Yeah. Well,
How do you defend yourself?
I hire you and Anthony Pope.
Except you say,
and
I know I never did this to anybody, but
yeah.
I don't know where I was on March 7th, 1983.
Anybody, yeah.
So that's the difficulty in
let me
defending
break.
these
Can we go to Mike right now? Mike coming up at 10:05. The great Mike Gallagher on at 10:05 on AM 970 The Answer. Mike, welcome to the show. Arthur is here. Frankie's here. Albert's here. We're all here, man, and we're missing you. How you doing, buddy?
I'm loving it. I'm loving this wisdom, these pearls of wisdom from one of the finest attorneys in the at least near 111 Broadway.
Thank you. Nicely, thank you.
Nicely, thank you very much.
I want Arthur Aidala and Mike Gallagher to do on the show. You've got to do maybe a little bit right now. Come on, a little.
Guys right here.
I got on the boat into heaven, and by some chance
Found
I
the brought my dice along, and there I stood, and I hollered, "Someone save me!"
Fade me. But the passengers, they knew
right from wrong.
Here it comes.
There you go.
People all said, sit down, you're rocking the boat. People all said, sit down. Come on, Joe, we should get paid for this. Union wages.
I'm sending a bill. I'm sending an invoice.
Did you see Mike on stage? Have you seen Mike Gallagher on stage?
He sent me a clip. I didn't go to Texas.
How great was that role made for?
Atlantic City is as far as I'm willing to travel round trip for my friends here at 970 AM The Answer. Texas was a little bit of a stretch.
We didn't make it to Dallas. But did you get the flowers? Did you get the open? We sent you flowers or something. Did you get that, Mike, down there?
Who got?
I sent you when you opened. I sent.
No, at the show. I thought you meant Christmas because Jerry said I got a nice little package, a little Christmas package, which was nice.
Yeah, that was ours, Mike.
Oh, well, I thought Jerry sent it. Jerry took the credit for it.
Jerry did send it.
All you guys did. I love my AM 970 The Answer.
We love you, Mike Gallagher. Before we let you go, and to your millions of listeners, the president tonight, 9 o'clock from the Oval Office. Give us a call, Mike Gallagher.
With dozens of listeners all over. I'm big in Lyndhurst, and we're hey, listen, think of the last few Republican presidents and whether or not they'd be fighting like this for something that the American people want: border security. And I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Hats off to the major networks. Obama supporters bitterly remind everybody that Obama gave a speech, a primetime address on immigration, and the networks wouldn't cover it because they called it overtly political, which is proof positive that Donald Trump is ratings gold for everybody, and that's why they're going to. All the networks are going to carry it tonight. He's going to go to the border later this week. He's delivering what he wants.
Yeah.
To on behalf of the.
Yeah.
And this is when the Washington Post calls the border situation an emergency.
Yep.
You know you got a problem down there.
Yep.
So God bless him for his efforts and for fighting the good fight. Today, 11:30, one of the smartest guys I know, Victor Davis Hanson, on the show. I love his wisdom. I love his take on all of this.
All right.
He writes a great piece about the great year we had. You know, despite the Washington hysteria, 2018 was a very good year. And incidentally, you want to talk about immorality, Nancy Pelosi? As Victor Davis Hanson writes, illegal immigration is an immorality.
Yeah.
We'll get the great Victor Davis Hanson on today, 11:30. You won't want to miss it.
Mike Gallagher, we'll be listening, and we love you, man. And
love you guys.
You're welcome to sing here with Arthur anytime. And
listen, I'm afraid he'll show me up. I don't like this.
No,
He's got a good voice. I hear he killed it. I heard he nailed it.
We love you, Mike.
1984, I really killed it.
Mike Gallagher, 10:05 on AM 970. The Answer. God bless you, Mike. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And you can see I'm holding up Debbie. I go to Al Debbie. No, it's Joe Lumberg.